My wife told our couple's therapist she would leave me for her ex if he showed up right now. I walked out of the session and filed for divorce. I'm sitting here at my buddy's place at 2 a.m. typing this because I can't sleep and I need to get this off my chest. My wife, married 7 years, together 9, just said something in couples therapy that I can't unhear. I walked out. Now I'm trying to figure out if I overreacted or if my gut is right. Some background. I'm a civil engineer for the city, work on roads and bridges, pretty straightforward life. Judy teaches high school English. She's always been the emotional, artistic one. We balance each other out, or at least I thought we did. No kids, just a rescue dog we both love. We own a townhouse together that we bought 4 years ago. The last year or two, Judy's been saying she feels like our relationship is flat and predictable. I figured that's just what happens after you've been together almost a decade. Marriage isn't supposed to be fireworks every day, right? But she wanted to try couples therapy. She'd been watching a lot of relationship TikToks and listening to podcasts about emotional intimacy and all that. I said sure, why not? If it makes her happy, I'm willing to try. So we've been seeing this therapist, mid-50s woman, seems pretty sharp, for about 3 months now. We've covered the usual stuff: childhood, attachment styles, love languages. I've been making an effort, trying to open up more instead of just trying to fix every problem like an engineer would. Last week, session number 10, the therapist introduced this exercise called radical honesty. The idea is we each say something we've been thinking but haven't said out loud, and the other person just listens without interrupting or judging. The therapist said it's supposed to help us see the truth beneath the surface of the relationship. Judy went first. She talked about feeling stuck and missing the feeling of being pursued from when she was younger. Said I'm safe and kind, but not exciting. Already not loving where this was going, but okay, I could handle some feedback. Then the therapist asked, kind of gently, when you say exciting, are you thinking about someone specific or is this more abstract? Long pause. Then Judy admitted she still follows her college ex, Arvin, on Instagram and Twitter. Said he's an indie musician, plays in a few small bands, moved back to Denver about 8 months ago. This was news to me. I didn't even know she kept tabs on this guy. Therapist kept pushing. Have you been in contact with Arvin? Judy admitted they message sometimes. Just memes, song links, birthday wishes. I was sitting there trying to keep my face neutral, but my stomach dropped. Then the therapist asked the question that changed everything. If right now Arvin was standing outside this door and said, "Come with me, let's try again," what would your gut instinct be? Judy didn't even hesitate. She looked straight at the therapist and said, "If I'm being completely honest, just following my gut and not thinking about consequences. If Arvin walked through that door right now and asked me to leave with him, I'd go. I'd actually go with him." The room went dead silent. Even the therapist looked surprised, though she was trying to hide it. I felt like someone just shot me in the chest. 9 years. 9 years, and she could sum up my value in one sentence. I stood up. I was pretty calm, which surprised me. I said, "If you can say that so easily, then you should go find him instead of keeping me around as your safety net." Judy started backtracking immediately. "Wait, this is the exercise. You're the one who always wanted me to be honest," I told her. "Thanks for being honest. Now I know where I stand, not first place. I don't compete for second. I'm not sitting here trying to spice up a marriage you'd walk away from the second he knocks." I looked at the therapist. "I think my part of this session is over." And I left. Didn't slam the door, didn't yell. Just walked out and drove to my friend Mike's place. Judy left 3 voicemails that night, crying, saying, "That's not what I meant." I listened to about 30 seconds of the first one and turned my phone off. Slept on Mike's couch. Called a divorce lawyer this morning. She says it was just an exercise. But you don't say something like that if there isn't some truth to it. I'm not interested in being someone's backup plan while they fantasize about their ex-edit. Holy shit, this blew up. Reading all your comments now. A few people asked, "Yes, I already contacted a lawyer. First consult is tomorrow at 10 a.m. No, I haven't blocked Judy yet, but I've only been communicating through text and keeping it brief. Yes, we're both on the mortgage and title. No prenup, unfortunately. And yes, Mike's wife made me breakfast this morning and told me I can stay as long as I need. Good people. Update 1. It's been 5 days since the therapy session from hell. I met with the lawyer Wednesday morning. Lot of reality checks about the process. We're in a no-fault state, so the court doesn't care about what was said in therapy. The townhouse we bought 4 years ago with our combined savings plus some inheritance money I got from my grandmother. The lawyer says we can probably show that inheritance was separate property if I have the documentation, which I do. My 401k is bigger than hers since I make more. No alimony likely since we both work. She ran through the whole process and I signed the retainer. Money's replaceable. Living with someone who sees you as Plan B isn't something I can do. But here's where it gets interesting. Yesterday, I got an email from the couple's therapist. She wanted to meet with me for an individual session, not to convince me to go back to couples therapy, but to debrief and set some professional boundaries. I went, and honestly, it was helpful. She told me, and I'm paraphrasing because she had to be careful about confidentiality, I cannot speak negatively about my client, but I can tell you this. Judy is not ready to make your marriage her first priority. I cannot ethically continue couples therapy when one partner is actively romanticizing someone else. Then she dropped this. Judy had mentioned Arvin more than once in previous sessions when I wasn't there. Individual sessions Judy had requested. The therapist said she'd been watching the situation develop and was honestly hoping Judy would come to some realization before things exploded the way they did. She officially fired us from couples therapy, said if Judy wants to continue, she'll only see her individually, but she can't work with us as a couple anymore because this case has reached a point of no return. That was weirdly validating, like getting independent confirmation that I'm not overreacting. But then it gets even weirder. Last night, one of our mutual friends sent me a screenshot. Arvin, the ex, posted an Instagram story playing guitar at some bar with the caption, "Not interested in being anyone's Plan B or midlife crisis." At first I thought it was just a coincidence, but then this morning I got a DM on Instagram from Arvin himself. "Hey man, I know this is weird, but I think we need to talk for a second." So I called him. Figured why the hell not at this point. Arvin told me that Judy's been messaging him for months, a lot, talking about how her marriage is stagnant, how I don't understand her, how there's no spark anymore. He said he told her multiple times he's seeing someone else and doesn't want drama. After the therapy session last week, Judy apparently sent him a long message saying, "I would choose you if I could." Arvin said, "Look, I'm messaging you because I need you to know I never encouraged any of this. I think it's really messed up that she's dragging my name into your marriage. I blocked her after that last message. I'm actually getting engaged to my girlfriend next month. I wanted you to know I'm not some factor in your divorce." I thanked him, told him I appreciated him reaching out. We talked for maybe 10 minutes total. Seems like a decent guy who got dragged into something he wanted no part of. So there it is. The therapist says Judy isn't ready to commit to our marriage. The guy she claimed she'd leave me for doesn't even want her and is marrying someone else. And Judy spent months messaging him instead of working on things with me. I texted Judy after the call. Arvin reached out. "I know about the messages, all of them. I know he blocked you. I know he's engaged. Your therapist terminated couples counseling because she said you're not ready to choose this marriage. The lawyer is filing papers tomorrow." She called immediately. I let it go to voicemail. She's called 6 times since. Not answering. My family's been supportive. Judy's mom called me yesterday, crying, saying Judy's just confused, and that what she said in therapy was hyperbole. I told her, "If you heard your partner say that about you in front of a professional, would you believe it's just confusion, or would you tell yourself to wake up?" She hung up on me. One of Judy's close friends texted saying Judy's having a real breakdown, and that therapy happened in the context of mental health issues, that I'm leaving her when she's most vulnerable. I replied, "She chose to message her ex instead of talking to her husband. Mental health doesn't give you a pass to keep someone as a backup plan. I hope she gets the help she needs, but I'm not going to be her safety net while she works through her feelings for someone else. The papers get served next week. I've started looking at apartments. Mike and his wife have been great, but I can't camp on their couch forever. Found a decent one-bedroom near downtown, close to some good running trails for the dog. I don't know what happens next, but at least now I know I'm making the right call. Edit. Someone asked about the dog. We're sharing custody for now, but honestly, the dog loves me more. Judy works long hours during the school year, and I'm the one who walks him every morning and night. I'm going to push for full custody in the settlement. His name is Ranger, and he's a 4-year-old lab mix, and he's the best boy. Update 2. It's been about 6 weeks since my last update. The divorce is moving forward, and it's been educational. Thought I'd give you all an update since you've been supportive through this mess. After Judy got served with the divorce papers, she went into full panic mode. Wrote me this incredibly long email admitting she'd been messaging Arvin for months but trying to spin it as just my way of processing trauma and claiming she never actually intended to leave. I responded through my lawyer with basically, "Actions speak louder than words. You chose to message him instead of working on our marriage. I'm not interested in being your backup plan." She tried to negotiate. Wanted to pause the divorce, do a 6-month trial separation with a new therapist. My answer was no. I told my lawyer. The first therapist already told me everything I needed to hear. I don't need a second professional to watch her try to convince herself she'd choose me if her ex wasn't an option. Then came the fun part, dividing assets. Her lawyer wanted to sell the house and split the equity 50-50. I had my lawyer pull out all the documentation showing that I put down 80% of the down payment with inheritance money from my grandmother, money I got before we were even engaged. In our state, inherited assets are separate property if you can prove they weren't commingled. Long story short, after some back and forth, we agreed to sell the house, but I get 70% of the equity, she gets 30%. She was pissed. Her family thinks it's my lawyer being ruthless. But the math is fair. I put in more money, I paid more of the mortgage, and the inheritance was mine before the marriage. We're also splitting the 401k accounts. Mine's bigger, so she'll get a share, but it's not going to bankrupt me. Then came the plot twist that I honestly didn't see coming. During mediation, Judy's lawyer tried to argue that she was in a mental health crisis during the therapy session, and that I shouldn't throw away a marriage over one statement made during a vulnerable moment. My lawyer asked the therapist, with proper legal waiver, to provide a professional statement. Obviously, the therapist couldn't violate confidentiality, but she could speak in general terms about the pattern of behavior. The therapist's written statement said that Judy had repeatedly expressed doubts about her choice of partner, had actively maintained contact with a former romantic interest, and that she did not observe signs that the client was prepared to prioritize the marriage over her idealized alternative. The mediator read it, looked at Judy's side of the table and said, "If your own therapist is saying you weren't ready to commit to the marriage, I don't think we can argue that your husband's decision to end things was impulsive." That pretty much ended that line of argument. But here's the real kicker. About 2 weeks ago, I heard through a mutual friend that Arvin got engaged. Not planning to propose, actually engaged. To his girlfriend, who's a nurse. They're getting married this fall. Judy apparently found out around the same time I did. According to the friend, she had a complete meltdown, told people Arvin led her on, and now he's marrying someone else. I saw some of the message logs during discovery. Arvin never led her on. He was polite, kept his distance, never made any promises. She built this whole fantasy in her head. She tried to contact me again after finding out about Arvin's engagement. Left me a voicemail saying, "I completely cut him off. I realize now that you're the one I need." I didn't respond. Sent her lawyer a message through mine. I'm not interested in being her second choice now that her first choice is off the market. She needs individual therapy and time to figure out what she actually wants. I'm not going to be her rebound from a guy she never even dated. The house closes in 3 weeks. We found a buyer, got a decent price considering the market. I'm moving into that one bedroom I mentioned last time. Already signed the lease. It's in a good neighborhood, close to work, and there's a decent trail system nearby for running with Ranger. Speaking of which, Judy agreed to let me have primary custody of the dog. She gets him every other weekend if she wants, but honestly I don't think she'll follow through. My lawyer says we should have everything finalized within the next 60 days. No alimony since we both work, the house split is agreed to. The retirement accounts are getting divided according to the QDRO. It's just paperwork at this point. Some of our mutual friends have taken her side, saying I abandoned her in her time of need. A smaller group who's heard both sides are still talking to me, and they seem to understand that needing mental health support doesn't mean you get to keep someone as a backup plan. My family's been solid. My brother helped me start packing up my stuff from the townhouse. My dad, who's been married to my mom for 40 years, told me, "Son, the right woman won't make you wonder where you rank." Your mom never once made me feel like I was competing with anyone, past or present. Don't settle for less than that. That stuck with me. I've been doing some individual therapy, working through my own stuff, realizing I spent 9 years trying to be the safe, stable guy without ever checking if she actually valued that. I made a lot of assumptions about what our marriage meant to her. Next chapter starts soon. At least this time, I'll be paying attention to whether I'm someone's choice or just their consolation prize. Final update. It's been about 8 months since my first post, and I figured I'd give you all a final update since you've been following this disaster from the beginning. The divorce was finalized 3 weeks ago. Took longer than expected because of some back and forth on the final settlement, but it's done. I walked out of the courthouse with about $95K from the house sale and my retirement accounts mostly intact. No alimony, clean break. Judy got her share and moved back in with her parents temporarily while she looks for her own place. Her family's still pissed at me for not being more generous, but legally everything was fair and square. Some mutual friends chose her side, a few stayed neutral and kept in touch with both of us. That's fine. I learned who my real friends are, but here's where things get interesting and why I'm posting this update at all. 2 weeks ago, I was at my new apartment, nothing fancy, but it's got good light and I was walking distance from some decent trails for Ranger when someone knocked on my door around 8 p.m. I looked through the peephole and it was Judy. I opened the door but didn't invite her in. She looked rough. Been crying recently based on her face. She was holding a folder. "I need to give you something," she said. "Can I come in for 5 minutes? Just 5 minutes and then I'll leave you alone forever if that's what you want." Against my better judgment, I let her in. Ranger went nuts because he hadn't seen her in weeks, and honestly that broke my heart a little because he used to be our dog. She sat down on my couch and pulled out papers from the folder. It was printed screenshots of her messages with Arvin going back almost 2 years, way more than I saw during discovery. "I need you to read these," she said. "Not because I think it'll change anything, but because you deserve to know the full truth." I skimmed through them. It was exactly what I suspected, months of her complaining about me, about our marriage being boring, about Arvin being the one that got away. Arvin's responses were consistently polite but distant. There was one message from her after our therapy session. "I told him today I'd choose you. I wish you'd choose me back." Arvin's response: "Judy, I'm with Lara. We're building a life together. You need to work on your marriage or end it, but I can't be your fantasy escape anymore. I'm sorry." Then the messages stopped because he blocked her. I handed the folder back. "Why are you showing me this?" She started crying. Full breakdown. "Because you were right about everything. I kept you as my backup plan. I married you because you were safe and stable and everything Arvin wasn't. And when the marriage felt hard or boring, instead of working on it with you, I just escaped into this fantasy. I convinced myself Arvin was my soulmate and you were my compromise." She was sobbing now. "The therapist tried to tell me. She said in one of our individual sessions that I was keeping one foot out the door. I got defensive, told her she didn't understand, but she was right, and you were right to walk away." I didn't say anything for a minute, just let her get it out. The worst part, she continued, is that I didn't even want Arvin, not really. I wanted the idea of him, the excitement, the what if. And I destroyed our marriage chasing something that never existed. Arvin's married now, did you know that? Got married last month. I saw the photos on Instagram before I finally blocked him for good. Yeah, I heard, I said. Good for him. She wiped her eyes. I've been in therapy 3 times a week since the divorce. My therapist says I have an anxious attachment style, and I self-sabotage when things get stable because I'm afraid of being hurt, so I hurt people first. That I romanticize unavailable people because it's safer than being vulnerable with someone who's actually there. That sounds about right, I said, not trying to be cruel, just honest. I know it's too late, she said. I know I ruined this and you've moved on and I don't deserve another chance. I just needed you to know that you didn't do anything wrong. You were a good husband. I was a shitty wife who didn't appreciate what she had. We sat there for a minute in awkward silence. I hope you find someone who chooses you first, she finally said. Not someone who has to lose their backup plan before they realize what they had. And then she left. I'm not gonna lie, it was rough. Seeing her like that, hearing her finally admit everything. Part of me felt vindicated. Part of me just felt sad about the whole thing. But as for me, I'm actually doing okay. Better than okay, honestly. I've been taking a woodworking class at the community college 2 nights a week. Built a bookshelf for my apartment, made a coffee table for my brother. Turns out I really enjoy working with my hands, creating something I have control over. It's therapeutic in a way the actual therapy wasn't. Through the woodworking class, I met someone. Her name's Lee, she's 32, works as a pharmacist. We got to talking one night after class about why we were there. Turns out she was also going through some stuff, needed a creative outlet. We grabbed coffee a few times, started hanging out outside of class. I was careful this time, didn't rush anything, didn't put her on a pedestal, didn't assume we were building towards something just because we were spending time together. About a month into knowing her, she told me about her ex-boyfriend of 4 years. She broke up with him because he never fully cut ties with his ex, always kept the door open just in case. I laughed. Told her I knew exactly what that felt like from the other side. We've been dating for about 2 months now. It's early and I'm not making any big declarations, but here's what I know. Lee's never once made me feel like I'm competing with someone. When we're together, I'm not wondering if she's comparing me to some guy from her past or checking her phone to see if he messaged. She's just there, present, choosing to be with me. It's wild how different that feels. We both agreed that if either of us ever feels like we want to explore something with someone else, we'll break up first. No keeping each other as safety nets. No radical honesty exercises where you admit you'd rather be with someone else. Just clean, honest communication. Yesterday, I had to go to the final house closing to sign some papers. Judy was there too. We nodded at each other, signed our names, shook hands with the realtor. That was it. No drama, no last-minute speeches. Just 2 people finalizing the end of something that should have ended a long time ago. As I was walking to my car, I checked my phone. Text from Lee. How'd it go? Want to grab dinner tonight? I smiled, replied, done, and yes, your place or mine? Mine, I'll cook. Bring Ranger, my cat needs to finally meet him. That's where I'm at. Single apartment, rescue dog, woodworking hobby, and someone who makes me feel like a first choice instead of a backup plan. The therapist was right about Judy. She was never going to choose our marriage while she had Arvin as her fantasy escape. But she was also right about something else she told me in that individual session. Sometimes the kindest thing you can do for someone is refuse to enable their avoidance. Walking away might be what she needs to face herself. I don't know if Judy's facing herself or not. That's not my problem anymore. I've got my own life to live, and for the first time in years, I'm actually excited about it. Thanks everyone for following this journey. Edit to the person who asked if Judy ever apologized before that visit. She sent several emails early in the divorce process, mostly trying to justify her behavior or asking for another chance. But that visit to my apartment was the first time she actually took full responsibility without any but statements. I think she finally got there just too late. Anyway, that's it from me. Moving forward,